I just restored my glasses I've had for over 10 years. But then it hits me, they don't even have a proper home. The glasses case out there felt so cheap. The quality quite bad as well, and honestly, it doesn't even fit in. So by far, I want to start with making a bag or case for my glasses from scratch and document the whole process of it. To be honest, I have no idea what it ended up looking like. In the beginning, I only had a weak image of what the glasses case might look like. The one thing I could picture was that there should be a visible glasses molding shape showed outside of the case. So I started by grabbing a sheet of paper and draw the center line. Then trace the outline of the pattern onto the paper to get a basic shape. The glasses on top can help me visualize things more clearly. And that when I realized the temples maybe need more protection separately, to figure that out, I sketched a rough diagram showing how that separation might work. Thought that the lenses would need an extra cover. So I tried folding the paper over them and did the same on both sides where the temples sit. Just doing that gave me a better sense of how the case might actually come together. So I started by tracing the outline of the glasses frame at the point where I decided to mold. The top of the paper flips upward as a cover, and you can see here, it will become a very front point of the case. That was a rough image I had at the time. But beyond that, I couldn't picture any more details. My brain kind of hit the wall. In this situation, with the glasses in hand and the draft in front of me, I start questioning what the right way to fix them securely. If I wanted a protective layer to cover the lenses, the glasses would first need to lock into the holder. Otherwise, that layer wouldn't really do much. Then the legs would fold in after that. But the more I thought about it, the more stuck I felt. It was like I designed myself into a corner, and I had no idea what to do next. Maybe the design isn't working this way, I thought. So I put out a new sheet of paper and started redesigning. Still, I felt that having a holder for the glasses was necessary. On top of that, I wanted to add a separate leather layer as protection for the lenses. At this point, the idea was starting to take shape. So I folded the paper and began making where the shaping would happen. This step I was sure about. Then I started measuring the thickness of the glasses frame with a gauge. The holder needs to be bigger than the size to hold the glasses. Imagining how they would hold, I figured it needed some breathing room. Shouldn't grip too tightly. But as I stared at the glasses and the sketch, I realized I had no idea what material I should use for the support. What should the structure even look like? My mind started spinning again. I hit another dead end. To get some clarity, I started drawing directly, determining the height and trace the matching curve by the pattern. But the line here, this was the one I felt wrong. No, that's not it. So I'll redo it in another way with my gauge. Then I began simulating. When I place the glasses down, the holder should support them like this. The front of the case would be here, and the flap would fold over like that. For fastening, maybe I could wrap it with a cord. That feels kind of vintage, actually. And the size seems about right. Let's try it again. Glasses go in, bottom folds up, top folds down, cord wraps around. But wait, after folding the temples in, the sizes are still left open. I was out of idea again. Honestly, I was starting to feel a little overwhelmed. So I found this envelope bag as a reference and thought maybe working from something real is better than just daydreaming. The size looked pretty decent. Then I wondered, what if I could make it hold both glasses and a few other things? That way it's functional and still keep the glasses protected. That would be better. I place the pattern on imagining the mold case sitting on the front of the envelope bag, visualizing how they will all come together. It started to make sense. 2 compartments, one for storage, one for the glasses. Simple and complete. I figured maybe it's better to start from the envelope bag structure. That will be easier. So I started making the paper pattern by it. It's worth mentioning here that most flat pattern drafts usually start with a center line. So I play the bag centered on that line and only work on one side first, sketching out of the flap shape, then folding the paper in half and use a knife to mirror the shape onto the other side. That actually gave me a nice clean straight line across. After that, I draw the bottom folding section and do the same thing. Mirror it with a knife to the other side and mark out the line. At this point, the rough shape of the bag starts to emerge. I use the pattern to roughly mark where the glasses case might go, but didn't figure out how they would attach yet. This sketch was just to remind myself that this spot matters later. I always like to draw first, think later, and help me not forget things. After I finish drawing, folding the paper really helps things click into place. The whole point is to let my brain picture clearer, more concrete design ideas, so I can bring them to life step by step. Holding the paper model in my hands and let me actually feel it, the size feels right or not. Honestly, design starts with turning flat sketches into something real and three-dimensional. So far, there are 2 things I'm sure about. First, the shape has to satisfy the look I want. The second, it has to be functional. The glasses definitely need a secure holder. To make it more useful for going out, I thought it'd be better to make the glasses case and the storage bag as 2 separate parts, then connect them together. Instead of using a snap, I just wrap a cord around it. The size works well on the chest, and honestly, I feel pretty good about this design. After locking in the idea, the first thing I could get started on was the molded leather lining. I found 2 thick, sturdy pieces of leather and planned to glue them together. That's when the glue thinner really saved me. It was so hot. The glue was drying too fast. With a thinner, it would have turned into a sticky lump in no time. So when I was splashing it on, even if it took like I used a bit too much, I didn't stress about it. The thinner kept it workable for longer. I just focused on spreading it evenly. I usually do 2 layers, and I always make sure it's fully dried before sticking anything together. Look at that. It dries in just 2 minutes. Now it's ready to stick together. Came out to about 3.6 millimeters thick, which is perfect for me. That is definitely gonna give it a solid 3-dimensional feel. With leather this firm, I like using an awl instead of a pen. It doesn't just leave a visible line, it actually creates a shallow groove in the surface. It's a small step, but it really makes a difference, especially with a thicker material like this. The leather is so thick, I can't just cut through it at once. I have to follow the line and cut little by little, especially the inner curves of the frame. It's basically a cutting nightmare. It's all because of the leather so thick, I just have to take more time. I picked leather for the lining because it's got the perfect balance. It's sturdy but still soft and flexible. I can rub it up all I want, and it will still snap back to shape. That's one of the reasons I really enjoy making leather goods. It's pretty cool. The lining was almost ready, but I still hadn't figured out the holder. So I went to the market to check out material for holding the glasses. You know, Japan's got a ton of material suppliers, which is both good and kind of overwhelming. Like when all the strip materials are laid out, I can see right away which one might work. It's the same with other stuff too. since they are all organized, I can just take it all in at a glance. Suddenly, this caught my attention. I could instantly imagine it bending freely along the curve of the bottom part of the frame. But then, how to actually install it became my next challenge. So here I'm in the EVA area, all sorts of bright colors. This group 1 looks pretty good. It matches the glasses, and flexible enough to shape with it. I also gave the orange one a try, but finally they weren't quite right. They didn't flag easily around the nose bridge and the outer curve of the frame. The right angle ones, sure, they protected well, but the shape's different. And honestly, they don't really match with what I'm going for with the design. Too many material choices can actually make a headache. It's easy to get stuck. Going back and forth, caught in decision paralysis. It's easy to just stop thinking and buy whatever I need. But actually, what I buy ends up not quite what I wanted. So back from the market, I was just sitting at my desk, staring at the leather lining I just cut. Then I picked up a scrap leather. Oh my god, I realized that shape right there is the holder. I was so excited. Problem solved. See that? This is why I should gonna think more before rushing out to the market. Looking back, I didn't really finish much in this episode. Some ideas at first feel like mist, so weak that even I can tell if it's a good design or not. But once I start cutting, gluing, sketching, and making mistakes, hitting walls bit by bit, the shapes slowly began to appear. Maybe that's the really interesting part. So this is the first episode of the series, a starting point about going from weak to concrete. I hope you will keep watching to see what the bags eventually becomes, and how I keep going in circles, hitting walls, and starting over. Who knows? Maybe in the end, I'll still say, maybe it's not such a great idea after all. Okay, see you next time.